15 iconic black actors, global silver screen legends, faced devastating loss after the death of their spouses. Their subsequent tragedies, only now being unveiled, reveal broken marriages, unforgiven harsh words, and painful betrayals beyond repair. Successful careers offered no solace against the grief of losing their loved ones. Ultimately, they passed away alone, their private sorrows and secrets remaining untold. Watch today's video for these heartbreaking narratives. 15. An unspoken apology haunts the legacy of Esther Rolla, a celebrated actress known for her role in Good Times. Post-divorce from Esteban Roll, her life was marked by persistent solitude despite professional success. Following their 1950 separation, she lived alone, grappling with loss and remorse. Their diverging ambitions, her yearning for advancement, his desire for simplicity, irrevocably fractured their marriage. This inability to find a compatible partner led to the dissolution of their union. Despite her career's flourishing, Esther remained unmarried, her life shadowed by loneliness. One sunlit spring morning in 1988, news of Esteban's death after a prolonged illness brought a wave of sorrow and regret. Unspoken words and unoffered apologies overwhelmed her as memories resurfaced. Esther Rolla's passing in November 1998 concluded a solitary life, weighed down by unresolved grief, the lingering memory of lost love, and the burden of unsaid apologies. 14. Diane Carroll, a devastating accident that stole everything. Diane Carroll, a celebrated actress and the pioneering woman to win a Golden Globe for a leading TV role, experienced a life fraught with romantic turmoil. Her marriage to Robert DeLeon, a music industry executive, although short, left an enduring impact. Robert DeLeon, Diane's second spouse, perished unexpectedly in an automobile accident in 1977. The heartbreaking news arrived on a scorching July afternoon as she prepared for a work engagement. A smile still graced her lips. But instead, the shock of her beloved husband's death greeted her. Her world crumbled before her eyes. Robert's passing was a crushing blow, an unhealable wound. Diane endeavored to continue living, yet her heart remained perpetually wounded. Visions of Robert plagued her, appearing in the darkness, always criticizing her for unfinished business during his lifetime. She lived in a state of agony, unable to find peace until confronting cancer in the late 2010s. When she died on October 4, 2019, Diane remained overshadowed by her deceased husband, her death concluding a life steeped in remorse and incomplete love affairs. 13. Ethel Waters' final visit to her former husband's grave. The celebrated jazz and blues vocalist Ethel Waters achieved immense professional success, yet endured profound solitude. Her marriage to Albert McNeil, beginning in the early 1930s, proved short-lived. Despite initial affection, irreconcilable differences emerged. Ethel's unwavering dedication to her career clashed with Albert's lack of ambition and inability to share her aspirations. Consequently, in 1934, Ethel initiated divorce proceedings, citing his lack of ambition and inability to support her through life's challenges. This separation transcended a romantic dissolution. It became a persistent emotional scar. Post-divorce, Ethel's career flourished, but she was continually haunted by guilt. Albert was not inherently flawed, and she recognized her failure to allow him the opportunity to demonstrate his worth. Solitary evenings found her at the piano, the melancholic melodies mirroring her self-recrimination. Albert's passing in the late 1960s intensified her loneliness. Upon learning of his death on an autumn evening in 1977, Ethel was overwhelmed by remorse for her harshness and lack of empathy. Even in death in 1977, Ethel couldn't escape the weight of her past. A poignant final act found her at Albert's graveside on an autumn afternoon, a trembling hand placing a flower as a whispered apology escaped her lips. The belated words offered little solace. The chance for amends was irretrievably lost. Her death concluded a life marked by regret, a testament to our tendency to undervalue loved ones until their absence reveals their true worth. 12. James Earl Jones. Life's pain mirrored on stage. The enduring image of James Earl Jones, his voice a powerful instrument, remains a cinematic treasure. Yet profound sorrow marked his personal life. In 1957, he wed Julianne Marie, a fellow actress encountered during a theatrical production. Their union, lasting over a decade, ended in 1968 amidst irreconcilable differences. Despite the separation, James held dear his memories of Julianne, his support during his career's challenging beginnings. A new chapter began in 1982 when he met Cecilia Hart during an Othello staging. They fell in love and married. This marriage provided him with serenity, a family, the domestic comfort he always desired. However, tragedy struck on October 26, 2016. A call brought the heartbreaking news of Cecilia's passing from ovarian cancer. He was not at her side in her final moments. Overwhelmed by grief, he sat silently in a recording studio, script in hand, unable to proceed. He later shared that Cecilia's voice echoed in his thoughts, reproaching his absence. Following Cecilia's death, James retreated, living a solitary life surrounded only by memories. Although his professional life continued, a vital spark seemed dimmed. At Cecilia's gravesite, he'd leave red roses, her favorite, sitting for long periods, murmuring apologies that went unheard. In September 2024, at age 93, James passed away quietly at his New York residence. On a somber afternoon, seated by a window, an old photograph of Cecilia in hand, his eyes closed, he seemed to find peace, finally reunited with his beloved wife. An unfinished recording lay on his desk, playing his final words. "I'll see you in the stars." 11. Billie Holiday, the man obscured in the shadows of her life. Billie Holiday, a 20th century music icon, experienced a life filled with heartache and passionate, but ultimately doomed, relationships during the 1940s and early 1950s. Her soaring popularity couldn't mask an intense solitude. While she never officially wed during her career's zenith, she forged a deep marital-like connection with a man she deeply loved. This affection proved ephemeral, however, as his descent into addiction shattered their bond. Despite her brilliant stage presence, Billie grappled with persistent, unhealing wounds in her personal life. Her lover's addiction caused her profound despair. She attempted to assist him, but he eventually succumbed to his habit, leaving Billie consumed by anguish, emptiness, and a sense of helplessness. His passing was devastating, robbing her not just of love, but also of belief in genuine romance. Plagued by painful recollections and irreversible losses, Billie turned to drugs to ease her suffering. Countless nights spent in dimly lit rooms, lost in substance abuse, and haunted by lost love propelled her towards self-destruction. On July 17, 1959, at age 44, Billie's death, following a prolonged struggle with illness and addiction, marked more than the passing of a musical legend. It signified the conclusion of a life that never found lasting love. Her renown persists through her enduring songs, yet her sadness remains palpable, as if she continues to sing her mournful and remorseful tunes. 10. Sammy Davis Jr., the solitude beyond the opulent estate. Sammy Davis Jr. was not just a gifted performer, but also a symbol of perseverance, overcoming racial obstacles and prejudice to become one of the 20th century's biggest stars. However, behind the glittering Hollywood lifestyle, Sammy Davis Jr. was a man bearing deeply concealed tragedies and griefs unknown to many. In 1970, Sammy married Alta Vice Gore, a stunning dancer he encountered during a London tour. It was a passionate romance, yet also turbulent. Sammy had already endured relationships and marriages stigmatized by society, especially his union with white actress Mae Britt in the 1960s. With Alta Vice, he found a different kind of connection, a woman who understood a star's loneliness. Someone who was not only a spouse, but also a co-performer on life's stage. Yet, when the stage lights dimmed, their relationship wasn't solely about love. It was also marked by storms of fame, wealth, and extravagant spending. Sammy lived a lavish life that spiraled out of control, and Alta Vice gradually became entangled in that world as well. Late-night parties, arguments in their Beverly Hills mansion, moments of estrangement despite cohabitating. These were signs their marriage wasn't just about glamour, but also contained hidden fractures. In 1989, a devastating blow struck. Alta Vice, the woman who had shared life's highs and lows with Sammy, unexpectedly passed away. Her death deeply wounded Sammy, leaving him devastated. For a long time, Sammy couldn't accept his life partner's permanent absence. Their home's rooms felt empty. The music they once shared, now just faint echoes. He spiraled into loneliness, losing his sense of direction. Just a year later, the throat cancer he had purposefully ignored began to wreak havoc on his body. Doctors recommended laryngeal surgery to save his life, but Sammy refused. To him, losing his voice was akin to losing his soul. On May 16, 1990, Sammy Davis Jr. breathed his last at his Beverly Hills residence. After his passing, the once vibrant, laughter-filled mansion became a quiet, somber place. A legend departed, carrying sorrow, regrets, and the shadow of his deceased wife. Sammy Davis Jr.'s legacy remains, but his life wasn't simply the narrative of a great artist. It's also a reminder of loneliness, even amidst millions. Despite reaching the height of fame, ultimately, what he yearned for most was a comforting presence when the lights went out. 9. The shocking death of Whitney Houston ended a legendary life. Whitney Houston, a pop icon with an angelic voice and timeless hits, lived a life filled with both glamour and tragedy. Her once passionate relationship with Bobby Brown, her husband, became a source of unending pain. They wed in 1992 during the peak of her career. However, their love was overwhelmed by substance abuse, constant conflict, and ultimate failure. Their marriage ended, but Bobby's influence remained a persistent presence in Whitney's life. Following their 2007 divorce, Whitney struggled to overcome emotional trauma. Despite sharing a daughter, Bobby Christina, the heartbreak of a failed marriage never left her. Bobby Christina's death in 2015 felt like an unbearable loss. The divorce concluded their romantic relationship, but the past continued to torment her. On February 11, 2012, Whitney Houston died tragically at age 48 in a Beverly Hills hotel. Her passing devastated the music industry and underscored a life marked by profound sorrow. Deep emotional wounds, a struggling career, and pervasive loneliness extinguished her brilliance. Whitney's death concluded the story of a legendary figure, serving as a cautionary tale about the destructive power of past trauma, even on the most exceptional lives. 8. Eartha Kitt's life marked by captivating beauty and exceptional talent, was also touched by profound loneliness. Her marriage to John William MacDonald, beginning in the early 1960s, ended tragically in 1965 with a divorce that left her with enduring regret. This marital failure, a mistake she deeply regretted, cast a long shadow over her life. Though she forged ahead with her career, the pain lingered, an unhealed wound. John's death in 1988, after a prolonged illness, devastated her. The news, delivered on a cold winter evening, felt like a mortal blow. However, the most agonizing aspect of her grief stemmed from the cruel words she had spoken to him during their final days. In a moment of anger, she had called him a bastard and cruelly belittled his potential, words that relentlessly tormented her conscience. She could not forgive herself for allowing anger and disappointment to dictate her behavior, especially since his death prevented any chance of reconciliation. The nights after John's passing were filled with nightmares, haunted by his silent, reproachful presence, a chilling reminder of her unforgivable words. This self-inflicted wound weighed heavily on her, leaving an indelible mark. When Eartha Kitt died on Christmas Eve 2008, a part of her remained tragically silent, her apology unspoken, her past unresolved. Her death signified not only the end of a legendary career, but the finality of a persistent, unsoothed pain. 7. Sidney Poitier, the first black actor to win the Academy Award for Best Actor in 1963, forged a path for a new generation of black Hollywood artists. However, Sidney's triumph was also shadowed by profound loneliness. He married Joanna Shimmies in 1976, but their promising union was strained by his relentless career. Countless roles and extensive travels distanced him from his family. Joanna, despite her deep affection, grew suspicious upon discovering unusual signs: lipstick on his collar, unfamiliar scents, and his absences. One winter night in 1981, she confronted him, demanding answers. Sidney confessed his infidelity, realizing he had lost Joanna's love and a part of himself. In 2017, 16 years later, Sidney received devastating news. Joanna Shimkus, his wife, had died following a protracted battle with cancer. This loss transcended the death of a spouse. It was the irretrievable loss of happiness. Reconciliation and unfulfilled promises ended with her passing. Even after their divorce, Sidney's regret and sorrow persisted. He revisited broken promises. The dream of a tranquil life in their lakeside home remained unrealized. On January 7, 2022, Sidney Poitier died in heartbreaking isolation. The hospital room was silent except for machines and the fading image of a legend. In his final moments, Sidney felt a profound emptiness, reflecting on his life and broken promises to Joanna. Dreams of a peaceful lakeside life, missed trips, all faded memories. He mourned not only lost love, but the erosion of his own self. A man devoted to his career, yet missing life's essentials. As his eyes closed, Sidney might have dreamt of their lakeside house, their promise of forever. But that dream remained unfulfilled. Only his losses, broken promises, and an irreparable, enduring regret remained. 6. Nina Simone, the profoundly sad truth concealed until her husband's passing. The iconic singer, celebrated for enduring hits such as Feeling Good, I Put a Spell on You, and Cinnamon, experienced a life marked by intense romantic bitterness. In 1970, during a stormy New York evening, Nina Simone received a call from a dear friend delivering the devastating news of Andrew Stroud's death, her husband, a man she both loved and despised. The announcement hit her with the force of a physical blow. She was heartbroken by his sudden departure without a farewell. Despite their divorce, Nina couldn't escape the memories of their shared past, their contentious nights, and their occasional moments of tenderness. She was consumed by remorse. Unbeknownst to her, the man she considered abusive and controlling had secretly fought a battle with cancer in his final days, choosing divorce to shield her from further anguish. Her vision clouded as she felt his absence intensely. She couldn't pardon herself for her inability to recognize this painful reality. Years later, Nina continued to live with the memories of Andrew, yet music no longer brought the same joy. In late 2003, during a bitterly cold Parisian afternoon, her self-imposed exile, Nina received her own cancer diagnosis. She sat in a stark hospital room, the sterile white bed symbolizing the end of her journey. In her final days, she often dreamt of Andrew, a vague figure emerging from her recollections, softly waving a silent goodbye. She sensed his presence in a timeless realm devoid of suffering or sorrow. On April 21, 2003, Nina Simone passed away peacefully. Her death concluded a tragic narrative, one in which she never fully comprehended the depth of Andrew's love or the sacrifices he silently made. 5. John Ritter, a relationship marked by profound conflict. John Ritter, the acclaimed actor born in 1948, celebrated for his comedic timing and the joy he brought to countless viewers, carried a burden of private sorrow. In 1977, he wed Nancy Morgan, a woman he cherished deeply, yet also caused considerable emotional distress. Their affection, though genuine, couldn't overcome the pressures of John's demanding profession, frequent disputes, and the misunderstandings that shadowed their union. These disagreements gradually estranged them, and by the late 1980s, they separated in quiet sadness. Still, deep within, John always remembered Nancy, the woman who'd supported him through difficult times. Tender yet poignant memories of their life together lingered with him throughout his life. Nancy's unexpected passing in 1991 due to an undisclosed illness was a blow John found impossible to absorb. One autumn evening, just as he believed his heartache might mend, he received the devastating news of her death. The grief overwhelmed him, intense and unbearable. Their home fell silent, a desolate space, devoid of Nancy's warmth and her presence in their shared spaces. In September 1991, John passed away in that residence, alone in the stillness of night. No one remained to celebrate his triumphs or comfort him in his grief. His demise signified a sorrowful conclusion to the life of an actor who brought laughter to many, but harbored a profound solitude and loss unseen by the world. 4. The celebrated African-American actress Cicely Tyson, born in 1933, achieved legendary status for her impactful and groundbreaking performances in American film. However, above all others, her heart belonged to Miles Davis, her husband, a musical genius who held an irreplaceable place in her life. Their marriage, though filled with passion and beauty, was far from simple. She fell for Miles in the 1960s and wed him in 1981. They navigated prejudice and hardship together, but tragedy struck when Miles succumbed to addiction. Despite her dedicated efforts to help him, Cicely was unable to prevent his decline. Their union ended after 7 years, culminating in a painful divorce. Even after their separation, her affection for him endured. On September 28, 1991, upon Miles Davis's death, Cicely was consumed by feelings of regret and powerlessness. She was absent during his final moments, and her yearning for him became an enduring torment. Miles's music remained a constant presence, a haunting echo she couldn't silence. One autumn day in 2010, at the age of 76, Cicely unexpectedly heard a familiar trumpet melody. As if Miles lived on through his music, she began daily visits to a Harlem street, listening to a street musician's renditions of his songs. Then, a peculiar occurrence began to unfold. On a stormy night in late 2011, during her final return to that street, a downpour started. The musician played "So What" with intense fervor, and as the trumpet reached its highest note, Cicely collapsed. In the midst of the torrential rain, she perceived Miles's silhouette, smiling and inviting her. "Miles, I understand now," she murmured, before passing away immediately. Cicely Tyson's departure on that rainy night was not quiet. Her legacy continues to resonate within the hearts of Harlem's residents. Her death wasn't an ending, but rather a convergence of past and present, a testament to an enduring love and timeless melodies. 3. Carmen McRae, a renowned 20th century jazz singer and actress, experienced a life brimming with music and intense emotion. In 1946, at a Chicago nightclub, amidst horns and cigarette smoke, she encountered Gerald Wilson, a striking trumpeter. Their love ignited fiercely. They wed in 1947, outwardly an ideal artistic partnership. He composed, she sang, sharing the stage. Yet privately, their brilliance fueled relentless conflict. Both were strong-willed, their disagreements escalating nightly over musical nuances. Their passion transformed into a confusing blend of love and pride. In 1980, a minor musical dispute led Gerald to storm out of a recording session. Driving home in the rain, he suffered a fatal heart attack, a consequence of their persistent arguments. Carmen learned of his stroke and death the next day, a devastating blow. That day, in the studio with the microphone still on, Carmen remained still. Though unseen, her grief transformed her voice, huskier, deeper, as if singing through unshed tears. Subsequently, Carmen retreated from public life, refusing marriage and crowds. Only performing reignited her spirit, as if Gerald's presence lingered beyond the stage lights. In her final years, living in a small Beverly Hills apartment, she avoided interviews and performances, listening occasionally to old recordings featuring Gerald's trumpet. Reportedly, each morning, she prepared 2 cups of coffee, one for herself, one for him, gazing out the window, her longing visible in the diffused light. On 11/10/1994, Carmen McRae died of cancer. Perhaps in her last moments, she smiled, envisioning Gerald's trumpet awaiting her beyond the curtain, a reunion devoid of conflict. 2. Ruby Dee, a life marked by profound sorrow. Ruby Dee was a Hollywood legend, celebrated for her powerful, socially conscious performances. She inspired deep admiration in her audiences. Yet her personal journey was far from idyllic. It was a relentless struggle against societal biases. In 1948, Ruby Dee married Ossie Davis, forming a legendary artistic partnership and a deeply loving relationship. They shared over 50 years, navigating career highs and lows, racial prejudice, and life's inevitable hardships. But nothing could have prepared her for Ossie Davis's sudden death in 2005. One spring day, while together, Ossie suffered a fatal heart attack. Ruby was making him tea, completely unaware of the impending tragedy. By the time she realized the severity, it was too late to save him. The ensuing hours at the hospital brought unbearable anguish, a pain too profound for words. That moment shattered Ruby Dee's world. Alone, without Ossie, she felt a profound emptiness, a loss of a vital part of herself. She was bereft of companionship, sharing, and intimacy. Ossie's death was an irreparable wound. In the years after her husband's death, Ruby lived with a persistent sense of loss. She chose not to remarry, her thoughts constantly returning to Ossie. This overwhelming grief affected her health, gradually weakening her. There were days of near starvation, spent in silent contemplation in the room where her beloved had died. Ruby Dee died on June 11, 2014, after a prolonged battle with cancer. Despite a life filled with accomplishments, the unfillable pain of losing her life partner remained. The memory of Ossie haunted her until her last breath. Her love for him and the resulting loneliness were wounds that never healed. 1. Lena Horne, The Ache of a Broken Vow. Lena Horne, a transcendent jazz vocalist and iconic Hollywood figure of the 1940s, valued her husband, Lenny Hayton, above fame. A gifted conductor, Hayton helped Horne reach musical heights. Their love story blossomed despite prejudice, a testament to their enduring bond amidst Hollywood's glitter. However, fate dealt a cruel blow. In 1971, in their Palm Springs home, Horne sat by the window, a far cry from the vibrant jazz queen she once was. She was simply a woman grieving the loss of her life partner of almost 2 decades. Lenny's death was sudden and devastating. One April afternoon, he collapsed in his study, a travel itinerary clutched in his hand. Horne's desperate cries went unanswered. A stroke had claimed him instantly. The coldness of the room mirrored the emptiness in Horne's heart. A world shattered. Days turned into weeks of unrelenting grief. Friends' efforts to console her felt futile. Each morning brought the agonizing awareness that her loss was real. The empty space beside her in bed, a stark reminder. But the deepest wound wasn't Lenny's death itself, but their unfulfilled dream. A Venetian gondola ride at sunset, Lenny's cherished wish, remained unrealized. The months that followed were a torment of regret. Lenny's presence lingered in her dreams, his voice echoing through her solitude. Her passionate jazz performances became hollow echoes. Her career dimmed, not from lack of talent, but from a profound lack of desire. Without Lenny, Horne was lost, dwelling in memories and broken promises. In 2010, after a long illness, Horne passed away. While some attributed it to old age and illness, those close to her knew she had died long ago, the day Lenny Hayton left her side. Thus concludes the heartbreaking tales of Hollywood icons. Hidden beneath their glamorous image, these stars couldn't avoid the cruel twists of romance, suffering devastating losses that created permanent scars. Therefore, whose misfortune moves you the most deeply? Which narrative brought tears to your eyes? Let us know in the comments section, and remember to like and subscribe to follow along as we unveil further untold narratives.